Well, welcome everyone to the June general membership meeting for the Homeless Leadership Coalition. You can put your name and organization in the chat as you're joining us. And I have an update from our friend Donna. Go ahead, Donna.
Thank you. I wanted to introduce, as some of you know, my role with Central Oregon Villages was meant to be an interim executive director position. And so that is coming to an end because we have found this fabulous person to take over the full-on executive director position, and that is Scott Jones, who is right in front of me, but you can't tell that right now. We're in a coffee shop. So I am welcoming Scott to this new role as of just yesterday. And just wanted to give a warm welcome and let you all know that that transition is happening. I will be still with us for the month of June, so we'll have a little bit of overlap. But then Central Oregon Villages will be in the very capable hands of Scott Jones, most recently with Best Care Treatment and prior with the harm reduction team with Deschutes County. Scott, I don't know if you want to say a couple of words.
Hello, everybody. I'm excited to be here. I've got some big shoes to fill. Donna has been amazing in her role, and so I look forward to making an attempt to do that and being on this meeting with all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. And thank you, Donna. All right, you can go to the next slide and we'll get started with updates. Today we're going to give some general updates from staff and myself and John, and then we'll move on to hear from Truett from the Jefferson County Faith-Based Network, and then Brooke O'Keefe from the City of Bend around TSSA updates. And then there will be time at the end of the meeting, maybe quite a bit of time, we never know, for folks to introduce themselves or give updates of like events that are going to happen, fundraisers, or any other program updates. So good. Rosie?
Hey everybody. So the Community Engagement Committee continues to work towards engaging the community. We had a really great event in May at Silver Moon. It was well attended. We are in the planning process of kind of figuring out what that schedule looks like moving forward. We were talking about doing another series of the networking events each month in all the different communities. And then also, of course, we're trying to do a big kind of resource fair in September. We're just in the early stages of that planning at the moment, though, so I don't have a ton of details. Of course, we are always recruiting members for the Community Engagement Committee. The more members we have in that committee, the more likely we are to successfully put on events and engage our community. So please reach out to me if you are interested in participating. We do have some new members from the last month, so I'm excited for that and have a fun activity for us to do during the next committee meeting. So looking forward to that.
All right. And so the next thing is HUD came out with a permanent supportive housing notice of funding opportunity. And this last week, staff sent it out to all of you. Um, you can reach out if you have questions. You can send an email to info@cohomeless.org, or Rosie or Robin directly, and we can respond as a group. If you need any kind of tech, if you're interested in it, if you want to know more, see if your organization would qualify. It's a pretty niche application, like, and folks who would qualify, we've kind of done some outreach to folks that we think would qualify, to say, could you, are you, if you're interested in applying for this, but if it's something you want to know more about, you can reach out and we can have a conversation about that. Information can be found on the HLC website as well.
I do want to note that there is a webinar on this from HUD tomorrow at 12:30 p.m. And that link for that webinar is on our website on the page with all the other information. And then applications are due by 5 p.m. on the 13th. And that's e-snaps, then the PDF coming to the COC so that we can review it. And then we go from there. But the whole timeline is on the website.
Yeah, and we're not putting this out late. It's a super quick turnaround. It just came to us and we put it out like the next day. So thanks to Rosie and Robin for that, for trying to get it out. And if you are interested in it or if you want to know more, definitely reach out. Although we don't know that there's many folks who could apply for it, just based on kind of like the weird kind of requirements for the grant. But we wanted to put that out there for folks. The next thing is, so we are working on this year, putting out information for the point in time count data that is helpful for folks. So on our website, we've updated and put the PowerPoint, and as well as the recording from the webinar that Molly and I did. And then over this next week or so, if you check the website, there should be we're going to have community specific kind of one pagers or two pagers that are, for the different cities around Central Oregon. So those will be on the website. We'll probably also share them out in the newsletter. But if there's something that you want to see that you're not seeing from us related to Pitt, let us know. I know that this data is really important for grant writing and sharing that information to donors or to your congregations or supporters. So just let us know if there's something that you're not seeing that you are going to need. And then we want to let you know that there's not going to be a general membership meeting or an HLC board meeting in July, just because of busy schedules in the summer. And that also gives us time to do planning for general membership meetings as well as board meetings. So in the next month or so, if there are things that you would like to see in this meeting or you'd like the board to discuss, we are always looking for suggestions and are open to, if you want to come and present. Usually I kind of reach out to folks and ask them, hey, come talk about this. I've heard, people asking about what's going on. But if you feel like you have something you want to provide to the group or you want the board to look at, please reach out to our email and let us know and we can add you to the agenda. Go to the next slide.
So today we have two presentations, and the first is going to be by Truett Schilling, who's the relatively new executive director of the Jefferson County Faith-Based Network. Truett has held that position, I believe, since January of this year, and he's going to bring us up to date on the Madras shelter and what's going on there. Truett? I thought I saw him on a little while ago.
Maybe I can fill in till he gets on. How does that work?
Well, we could have Brooke go first, and then if you wouldn't mind
Perfect.
texting him, Jean, that would be awesome.
I will do that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, so Rick O'Keefe, who's the shelter coordinator for the city of Bend, is going to bring us up to date on the temporary safety area in Juniper Ridge and everything else that's going on in that part of the territory. So, Brooke, go ahead.
Hi, everyone. Sorry, I was getting my screens in the right order and right place. Brooke O'Keefe, shelter coordinator for the city of Bend. Thanks for having me. Um, I also serve on the HLC board, and in my role at the city, I support with the administration of contracts for the four city-supported shelters, as well as the Houseless Services Grant Program, which includes the housing-focused case management portion of the temporary safe stay area, safe parking, and a few other outreach, PSH, and prevention projects. I'm going to share my slides if it'll let me. There we go. Can you guys see that? Okay, so I'm here today to talk about the temporary safe stay area, the TSSA. This was set up through a joint effort between the City of Bend and Deschutes County. And it's intended to mitigate health and safety risks associated with survival camping by providing improved sanitation services and case management to facilitate transitions to shelter and other more permanent housing options. Just to provide kind of a quick timeline of how we got here. On September 5th, the Bend City Council and Board of County Commissioners held a joint meeting to discuss the impacts of survival camping at Juniper Ridge. This meeting was pretty closely following the mile marker 132 fire, and the two bodies agreed unanimously to set up the TSSA. In October, the Board of Commissioners and Council adopted resolutions establishing the site. Both bodies additionally committed funds for housing-focused case management and outreach. On November 6th, using City American Rescue Plan Act funds and Deschutes County funding, the City Council adopted a resolution which created the Houseless Services Grant Program. This provided the framework for us to be able to fund those services at the TSSA, as well as some other projects that I mentioned earlier, the safe parking, outreach, and PSH. The grant application cycle for the Houseless Services Grant Program opened on November 7th. And to meet ARPA deadlines, all contracts were in place by December 31st of 2024. Although many, if not all of our TSSA providers were already working with clients at Juniper Ridge, the official day to begin those services under the grant agreements was February 1st. Providers have been working diligently to connect folks with support and help them make the next step in their journey towards housing. They've also been engaged with folks living on the east side of the railroad tracks at Juniper Ridge to help them relocate to the TSSA. On May 31st, in alignment with the policies adopted by the city and county, the city closed the property on the east side of the railroad tracks to camping, and the Bureau of Land Management also closed a parcel of land that they owned at Juniper Ridge. The TSSA is intended to be temporary and has been set up as an effort to help folks transition to more permanent either shelter or housing destinations. In conjunction with the ARPA spend down deadline, the area is set to fully close on December 31st of 2026. This slide says 25, but it's 2026. Sorry about that. Council and commissioners are continuing to monitor transitions in the situation, but as of the policies that are currently in place, this closure will occur on December 31st of 2026. The map on the right, which is kind of small, shows where the TSSA is located. Deschutes County is the green portion. The city's portion is shown in pink and blue, with the pink being outside of the UGB and the blue being inside of it. The BLM portion I mentioned earlier is up on the right, outside of the map, right, top right corner. And the hatched area in the middle is where the TSSA is located. This is not only a collaborative effort by the city and the county, but there's a variety of agencies involved with different roles. We're extremely grateful to our service provider partners who are working with campers to provide resources and supports. Compass Security is out there frequently just to monitor happenings, and they report to the jurisdictions if an incident occurs that requires response. The City of Bend Health and Safety Compliance Team, as well as Deschutes County Property Management, are involved in monitoring and enforcing property closures. The health and safety folks will also be involved in supporting with compliance to the rules that I'll talk about, I think, on the next slide. Deschutes County Sheriff's Office has the authority as the primary law enforcement agency. And then all of these agencies will serve on a review committee, which will monitor the TSSA and advise on situations as they occur. This is intended to have a wide variety of perspectives, including that service provider perspective. And it's not intended to be a mechanism for decision making, as each jurisdiction maintains authority over their property, but it will offer an opportunity for us to all work collaboratively and advise one another. This slide is a bit hard to read, but it shows the guidelines in the map of the TSSA a little bit closer. This is what's been posted throughout the area and distributed to campers. This covers the critical rules, and these were developed based on the policies adopted by the jurisdictions. The city also hosted a listening session, as well as emailed an draft of these out to providers for comment, and those comments were taken into consideration. The county adopted these rules in May, so health and safety will begin working to help folks get to compliance, I think this month. The focus at this time will be on animal and pet misbehavior, which could cause a danger to other campers. We're grateful to have camp as a partner to support folks with companion animals. And then the second focus will be on fires. There's some additional fire mitigation work happening concurrently as well. The map on the right is a closer look. It shows the closed areas in red hatching, as well as the location of the hygiene stations. And the access point is that little gold star. The green circles are the TSSA areas. There was a desire from county commissioners to shrink the footprint of the area to 40 acres. And so these circles were designed to meet that request while also taking into consideration where folks were already located, trying to avoid moving people as much as possible. This slide includes each of the service providers who have received funding through the Housing Focused Case Management portion of the House of Services grant program. We recognize that many of your agencies are out there and doing work, but you don't have funding through the city. So we just want to recognize you and appreciate your efforts. Neighbor Impact is providing data management and coordinating case conferencing. Central Oregon Villages, Shepherd's House, and Reach are focused on that kind of general outreach and housing focused case management piece. Homeware Network received funding to support with vehicle repair and relocation in conjunction with the May 31st closure on the east side. Camp is providing veterinary care and housing navigation for folks with animals. And Mosaic's providing healthcare, navigation, and services, which we know is often a barrier to housing. These agreements total just over 1.1 million. And the additional services that aren't listed here are the hygiene stations, which include potable water, porta potties and hand washing stations, and dumpsters. And then my last slide. Providers are entering their data into the Homeless Management Information System, which is then compiled by Neighbor Impact into a de-identified report. We're tracking a variety of metrics, and to ensure transparency for community members, we have established this TSSA data dashboard to make that information publicly available. The data is currently showing through March. As all of you know, the last few months have been pretty fast and furious, and we're working on getting those data kinks ironed out so we can make more frequent updates. The closure of China Hat put a pretty big strain on provider capacity, as they also serve that area, which caused some delays in reporting. So I'm hopeful we can have April data up sometime next week. Those are all of the slides I had. If you guys have specific questions, I'll drop my email into the chat and you can reach out to me directly, and I'll also send these slides, the guidelines, and then the link to the data dashboard to Rosie.
Great, thank you so much. I know there were a couple questions when you guys did this presentation for a different group, and one of the questions that came up was like, why are we, closing the area at the end of December? And it was, well, the funding ends at the end of December. That's the last date it could be used. So I think it's good to understand it, and I know this is something people are talking about, so I appreciate you coming, Brooke.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Would you rather people email? We do have a little bit of time. Are you open to taking questions right now?
Yeah, if we have time. I just didn't want to cut into Truett's time.
Hey, Brooke. Yeah, may I ask a question?
Yeah, of
Yeah.
course.
So as I understand it, so the folks who have currently made it onto the safe stay area, they're the folks who will be there, and new people can't move in as of this time, or has that been changed?
Yeah, the intent, because it's kind of preparing for a closure, was not for it to grow. We recognize with closure of China Hat and other areas that there isn't really a great place for folks to go, and this might be their only option. So while we're not actively encouraging people to move into the TSSA just because it is intended to be a closure, we recognize that that might be their only option.
Mhm. Yeah. Can I ask a quick follow-up? Is there any sense of the percentage of people who made it to the area out of all the people who had their camps moved? Do we have any numbers there to see how that worked?
From the east side,
Yeah, from wherever people had to move that could have gone there, what percentage chose to actually use it?
yeah, from the east side, we're still pretty early in that closure. So I'm not sure I have great data on that piece. Anecdotally, I've heard from Homeware Network as well as our real estate director that most folks were able to move and people were able to get most of their belongings. If anything was left behind, those belongings will be stored for 30 days, and people can access them to pick them up or work on getting their vehicle repaired or things like that so that they can take those with them. Um, there was, after the China hat closure, I'm trying to pull up the numbers, about a 45% increase in the number of folks out there. And I have those specific data points in another presentation. I can pull it up if someone else has a different question or if you have another question.
No, I'm good. Thank you, bro.
Does anyone else have a question?
So currently there are 112 camps and 142 occupants as of the 19th of May.
Okay.
Other questions? You guys are making it easy.
You were just so thorough. So good job, Brooke, as usual. Um, okay, well, as Brooke said, you guys can reach out to her, via email if you have questions that come up. I wanted to bring her in today just because I know there was some media about like, some stuff closing down and like moving, and I wanted to give folks a chance to kind of hear what's happening, who's been funded, and all of that, if you guys didn't know that already. And thank you for all the work out there, Brooke, and the providers that are offering support to folks out there. And then, John, you
Yep.
can introduce Jean.
Yeah, so Gene Rabick. And did I get it right that time, Gene? I know I missed it a little bit
You get
last time.
closer every time, John.
Okay, so how do we
The H
pronounce
is
it?
silent. Just remember the H is silent, so it's Robic.
Robick. Okay. All right,
Yes,
appreciate
yes.
that. So Jean is the assistant director at the Madras shelter, and she's going to bring us up to date on everything that's been happening there.
Well, we'll see what I don't know what he was going to report to you all. I did text him. I did not get a response. I texted his executive assistant and did not get a response. So, I can tell you what I know is going on. My viewpoint is probably more narrow than Truist's because he's much more bigger picture. He's been working very hard on the men and women's house and moving right along on that. So we're very excited about that. They will be high barrier and the women's house I know will be for women and young children, including those escaping DV. So we're very excited to be able to offer that sooner rather than later. So he's been very heavily involved in that. So as far as the shelter, we are moving right along. We are revisiting after last night's events in Salem, and that gentleman had stayed with us for almost a month. We are reviewing some of our security procedures, obviously, and how we want to proceed with that. I'm assuming you all know what happened at the Mission in Salem. Yes? No. Well, in case you didn't know, one of our former clients, and I don't know if he stayed at any of the other shelters in Central Oregon, was coming back from Salem to Deschutes County, got off in Portland, went to the gospel mission, and stabbed 12 people. Thank you, Colleen. I see that you added a link to that. So we are reviewing some of our security protocols to make sure to ensure, most importantly to me, my staff safety, and then of course our client safety following right behind that. So some of the things we're working on. We are now open from 11 to 4 on Mondays and Fridays for showers, on Thursdays, 11 to 4 for laundry. Starting July 1st, because we anticipate warmer weather, we will be open 11 to 4, 7 days a week, even though our core hours are 6 p.m. to 7 a.m. We will be adding those extra hours in so that people aren't out in the hot weather every day. So those are some of the bigger things that we're working on right now. Other than that, it's just feeding and clothing and keeping people safe. As you all know, that's our number one priority. I just came from a high-risk team meeting for Jefferson County, and great meeting. We work on those in Jefferson County that are high risk. It's really very similar to a case conferencing meeting, but specific to Jefferson County. So, trying to figure out how we can keep people healthy and alive. Other than that, I really don't know what True was going to update you on at the moment, but that's where we're at on a day-to-day basis anyway. Does anybody have any questions? I'm always happy to answer questions for the Matters Shelter. It's kind of my pride and joy.
Good question. One of the things Drew was going to talk about was the new homes that you guys are trying to bring online. Do you have any idea how many spots will be available for folks and how they could be referred? Has that been figured
Um,
out yet?
No, not yet that I'm aware of that he has shared with me. Yeah, one of our things across the street from us, there's two lots owned by Best Care, and they're planning on putting in a rehab building and then also some tiny homes. And then that's what we would like to do as well. Um, eventually, I don't even know if he's identified the land yet, because I know that would be a city deal. Um, but if he, I wish he'd shared all this information with me before
That's
this
okay,
meeting
and no
happened.
pressure. No
I would have been
pressure.
happy. I would have been happy to present on that. I just know loosely some big picture things, and so I know they've been working really hard on the men's house and the women's house. And Michelle, his assistant, has been working a lot on PR and getting people to be aware of Faith-Based Network and the work that we do. We are obviously the only shelter in Jefferson County, shelter system, and true, it certainly brings a lot of vision and energy to where we can go from here. So, um, I still have not heard back from either one of them. I texted both of them. They're both
That's
heavy
okay.
te they're both heavy texters, so I'm kind of surprised. So my guess is he got wrapped up in another meeting. So, um,
There was a
but
question in the chat for you. The question is, does Jefferson County Faith-Based Network work with partners like Latino Community Association, Mosaic, Saving Grace?
yeah, we work with them somewhat. Our biggest community partner by far is Best Care, especially now that Best Care has put in the Burn Center. I don't know if you all are familiar with the Burn Center. It's actually BHRN, so it's an acronym. It's open. You do not have to be a Best Care client to participate in the services there. It's open from 6 a.m. to 11 p.m. So they're open hours that we're not, and they are drop in, like TV snacks, group activities kind of thing. But they are also the ones that help with housing and education and those kind of assistance that we don't offer. So I would say they are our closest community partner. And then, of course, we partner with St. Charles and Mosaic Medical a lot. Um, so our other community partners, well valued very much, and Jefferson County Public Health as well. While they're valued very much, and we count on them, that Best Care is by far our strongest community partner. In fact, they come to the shelter 3 times a week on site when we're open to visit with our folks if they have something they want to talk about. And their crisis team has been amazing with showing up for those that have maybe forgot to take their meds for a few days and are in crisis and way beyond my pay grade. So I call them and they come in and they're able to help the situation a lot, and we greatly appreciate them.
Hmm. Yeah. Jean, do you know how many beds the new projects will add once they're up and running?
For the men and women's house,
Yeah.
okay, so each of them will have about, I think the women's house is 6 or 7 beds, and the men's house is about 10 beds. I've been to both of them. Unfortunately, I was not able to tour the inside of the women's house. I did tour the inside of the men's house. We have had our first client move into the men's house, so that was exciting. And then we also are working to get women into the women's house. The thing is, it is high barrier, which is also a barrier for us. And the fact that we have certain things, like obviously at the women's house, there can't be any men visitors because we are working with DV people. And there's just other things in order to keep the women safe that some of the clients that I was hoping to be able to refer to are not quite willing to accept those kind of boundaries at this point. So,
Yeah.
but it's going to get there, and he's working really hard on renovations, and um, it's just something we've really needed, and I think it's taken a visionary like Truett to really make it happen. And so, very grateful for that. Glad he's doing that, and I get to run the shelter day to day. It's all good with me.
Yeah. Yeah. What kind of support could you most use?
Money, like us all, right?
Mhm.
That's true for all of us. Um, I know that he is looking for some financing, especially for the renovations. That we are so fortunate that both houses were gifted to us. So that is very fortunate. But of course, sometimes coming with those kind of gifts comes some repairs that are needed and things like that. So that's what he's really working on right now, is to make sure the houses are safe, up to code, and where we can um, honestly and openly accept clients into the house and know that they're going to be safe and taken care of. So,
Eric?
Hey, Gene, when I talked with Tony about this, it was still in the planning stage.
right.
But when you refer to these houses, you're referring to them as high barrier shelters, emergency shelter, not
The
transitional
men and
housing.
women's the men and women's house will be that. Like there will be, yeah, you have to be safe. You have to be clean and sober to stay there.
But they're shelter, not transitional housing or something else.
No, they are more transitional housing. Thank you for asking, Eric. They are a 1-year program that
Okay.
helps them transition into permanent housing and to um, be successful in life. So
Mhm.
I would definitely term them more as transitional housing than emergency shelter. What I do is emergency shelter, but these housing is much more transitional housing, um, in that the goal is to have them have long-term success, not just to put a roof over their head for the night.
And about the year, is that like 12 months with a possibility of more time after if you're doing
Yes.
well, kind of thing?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. It's just good. He wants it to be a minimum of a year to make
Okay.
sure that whatever goals they have are in place, and whatever personal practices that they want to achieve are firmly established, if that makes sense.
It does. It affects how you might be able to get some money.
Right. And he's well aware of that too.
Yeah.
But for sure, Eric, um, I know I can have him give you a call because you certainly have insight into that many other people don't have. So,
Yeah. I
I will,
covered the ground with Tony,
huh?
and I covered the ground with Tony and some of the board members
Yeah.
there. But I'd be happy to talk with him
I
again,
think that would
talk
be
with
a good,
Druid. Yeah.
yeah, I think that'd be a really good conversation for him to have is
Yeah.
with you, Eric. I think that's great. And since I'm done this meeting, I'll text him again and have him give him your call. You're still at the same phone number, or is it your different number?
It might be different, but have him email me. My email's in the chat, my Gmail
Okay,
account.
okay. I'll have him do that.
He
Um,
can email my OHCS one too, but it might be harder to schedule that way. So just give them both and we'll see where we go.
okay, I will do that. Yeah, I think that would be a most excellent. Oh, okay, I see it. Oh, Sue, you still have that personal one. Okay. Um, I will um I will definitely suggest to him that he give you a call because I think that would be a most excellent productive conversation for him to have.
I have
So
a
I appreciate
question.
it. Yes, ma'am.
If somebody is working with someone in Jefferson County and they want to refer them to like the men's or women's programs, um, is there a way to do that, or should they just kind of contact Truett at this time?
That should go through Truett if it's fine. If they want emergency shelter, that should go through me. But if they want at the men or women's house, that should definitely go through Truett.
Okay.
Eric, I'm gonna go get a pen real quick hold on, so I can write that down.
And so while we're waiting for Jean to come back, if anyone has any, we're gonna have a little extra time at the end of the meeting. So, if folks have community updates or organizational updates, personal updates, you can share them now or at any
Okay,
time.
somebody text me back. So they wanted to know if Truth says, please do it. Dang, I got in the middle of something. So, yeah, so if you guys want to have him come back at the next one in August and give another update, then he might even have even more information for you.
Well, thank you,
And,
Jean, for jumping in there.
I'll make sure it's on that the his assistant gets it on his calendar for sure. And Eric, I'll give him your email to get a hold of you for that conversation.
Thanks, Jean. Colleen, I saw your hand raised. You can.
Hi, all. I was just going to extend an invitation to join a wait list. We may have space in a training Fuse is hosting for direct service providers. Next Thursday, we're doing a full day, like 8:30 to 5 p.m., specifically for mental health for homeless service providers. We're bringing in 5 different clinicians and have kind of targeted the agenda to meet the needs of folks who are working with people who are either living outside or transitioning into housing. So I will drop a link to the RSVP form. There's a box you can check to like join the wait list, and I'd suggest checking that box. I think that this one is probably going to be full, but assuming it goes well, we will try to do this again. So if you're interested in learning about that for you or your team, form is in the chat. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Colleen. Catherine just put in the chat that Mountain View Community Development had their groundbreaking for micro shelters. Um, that was on Sunday.
Hey, it's Donna. I'm driving, so I'm off camera, but I just wanted to point out something. I don't know how many of you ever look at your Facebook memories with regularity, but my Facebook memory this morning was still a passionate plea for getting any kind of land or building or anything for a shelter or a safe parking or a navigation center just 4 years ago. I just felt it was important for us all to realize how much has changed in 4 years. It's like a lot. So it's a big kudos to everybody.
Thank you,
Hi.
Donna.
Oops.
Oh, go ahead and share it.
That's all right. I just raised my hand. I don't know if you can see it amongst my books. I'm just Sharon Edwards. I'm new on staff at First Presbyterian Church. I'm also new to Bend, and this is part of my job, and I'm really excited to be a part of this group, and I just wanted to say hi.
Welcome. Thanks. I didn't see your hand, so I'm glad you just came off mute. Donna, thanks for bringing that up. I think about that often when I think about Oasis or Lighthouse or, all it's just such incredible growth over the years, and it's crazy to see how far we've come.
I can go quickly. So Josie with Oasis Village, and we just got our certification of occupancy for our final 5 cabins, which is really, really exciting. So we now have 25 total, and that completes kind of the vision for the village, which is really exciting. We have added a second case manager to our team, given that we will be serving more participants. So Tamiko Spencer Gibbons, who was a mentor with us, has moved into a case manager role along with Bodie Snell. And so you'll be seeing Tamiko more at coordinated entry, hopefully, and just helping share the caseload here at the village. And then we also have hired a program manager, which I always get kind of like, oh, when people from other service providers apply with us, because I don't want to steal them. But his name is Jason Munn, and he was previously with BI in Bend, and started yesterday with us as our program manager. So that's a great addition to our team. And other than that, I just wanted to quickly acknowledge COIC. And we are just obviously in the very end of spend out, as many of you are, and are able to do things like complete our sports court and our garden, and put some grass in our dog run, and just do some infrastructure projects. And it's really improving just the quality of life here. And it's exciting. We're also concerned about budget moving forward, but certainly right now we feel really spoiled with all the things that we were able to do with those dollars this year. So lots going on. Thank you.
Thank you, Josie. Brooke, do you mind sharing? There was an ask yesterday at CHRO to kind of expand. Do you mind sharing what that will look like?
Yeah. The city was awarded originally $409,500 for the purchase of 21 shelter units or safe parking pods. 6 of those are operational at Central Oregon Village's Dean Swift location. And those opened on the 13th of May. Yes, May. I keep forgetting what month we're in. The COV has an additional 5 that they're intending to place before June 30th. And then Mountain View Community Development is working on placement of 10 before June 30th. The ask that was made yesterday at the CHRO meeting was for an additional $193,000 for site preparation and purchase of 4 additional units. We were awarded $158,000. So we intend to have 21 of those units ready to go by June 30th. and then the additional 4 in inventory, ready to be placed when we are able to do the site prep. So very exciting expansion coming, kind of fast paced this month, but we're excited.
Thank you, Brooke. You did really well without like prompt for that. You were used to talking about it yesterday, so I appreciate it. And I will pause for a few seconds to see if anyone else has any updates.
Now, Eliza, do we want to talk about what the board will be doing between now and the next general meeting? Like some of the important things we're going to have to do.
Yeah, I think we talked about this in our last general membership meeting that we have had some folks move on from the board, both because someone, our Rosie, I said our, my colleague Rosie, moved from JBRJ to COIC as staff, so she had to move off the board, and some other folks kind of retire from the board. And so we are doing, as you guys know, so we had quite a few applicants to join the board, and so we'll be having a special board meeting to vote on new board members between now and July. Is there something else, Sean? Was there?
Yeah,
Great. So
that
we'll
was the main
be
thing I had in mind. Yeah.
great, and we'll do announcement and share our new board roster when we've voted at the end of the week.
Yep.
All right. Well, you guys are going to get let go a little early, and that's okay because it's nice outside, and I hope you guys enjoy the weather. Um, just as a reminder, we are not having a membership meeting or a board meeting in July. Take the time off. Hopefully, spend some time with friends or family, and enjoy the weather. And we'll see you guys in August.